Dear students, in the last session we discussed about hypothesis testing for one sample using both t-test and z-test. So in this session we will discuss about hypothesis testing for two samples or two means or two population. Okay, so what do you mean by two samples or two means or two population? Before, when we were doing the test, we were just given one sample. We had to find the standard deviation of that. We need to find if it is a z test, then z value, if it is a t test, then t value, then standard error, and etc, etc. But here in this case, when it comes to two means or two population, what exactly it means is that we need to compare the two population on a chosen parameter. Okay, so here the decision makers are concerned about difference between groups, samples, or how far these groups differ. For example, now if I want to check if the average salary of males is different from females in a company, then I go for hypothesis test of two samples. Okay, because here males and females are considered as two samples or two different population. Discuss how we are doing it. All right, so here there is a separate formula for calculating the standard error as well as the critical value for calculating the sample, the difference between two samples. Okay, so here the first formula is standard error of difference between means of two samples, that is sigma x1 minus x2 is equal to sigma 1 squared by n1 plus sigma 2 squared by n2 the whole root over. Okay, this formula is very important. Similarly, for critical z value for difference between two sample means you have another formula. Z is equal to x1 minus x2 minus mu1 minus mu2 divided by sigma x1 minus x2. That is, this one is standard error. Here x1 and x2 is the sample mean of the first population, sample mean of the second population. Here mu1 is average, that is a mean of the first population and mean of the second population. Okay, so we will discuss this using a particular problem. Okay, now consider this particular problem. Here I want to verify if the daily pocket money received by children aged 10 years is lower in Trivandrum than in Cochin by 0.10 rupees, that is 10 paise. 0.10 rupees means 10 paise. Okay, I conduct a survey and make the following observation. So I have city, average daily earnings of each child who is of age 10 years, and then standard deviation of the sample is given and size of the sample is also given. So here in Trivandrum I am taking 200 samples and I find that the average daily earnings of those children is 8.95 rupees. So and the standard deviation is 0.40, and again in Cochin I am taking a sample of 175 and I am getting that average daily earnings is 9.10 and standard deviation is 0.60. Now what is asked in the question, and now I need to find out whether the sample, that is whether the children aged 10 years in Trivandrum is earning 10 paise less than that of children living in Cochin. Okay, so how will you test the hypothesis at 0.05 level of significance that the daily pocket money received by 10-year-old in Trivandrum is lower by 0.10 rupees compared to Cochin? Okay, so this is the question. That means for 10-year-old I have 200 samples from Trivandrum and 175 from Cochin. So I need to find my hypothesis, the null hypothesis given in that question itself is that it is the earnings of children in Trivandrum is 10 paise less than that in Cochin. Okay, so how will I calculate this? Now let's see how we will solve this problem step by step. Okay, now what is the first step? The first step for any problem, just like how we were doing in the previous problems of one sample, the steps remain same, that is formulate null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. So what is our null hypothesis here? I can write my null hypothesis is that children in Trivandrum is earning 10 paise less than the children in Cochin. Okay, children in Trivandrum that is TVM is earning 10 paise, or you can write 0.10 rupees. Okay, rupees less than that in Cochin. Okay, So what will be my alternate hypothesis? There is no change. That is, children in Trivandrum is not earning 10 paise less than that in Cochin. Okay, they are not earning less than. So you can write that here like this. Here, this means that here mu 1 minus mu 2. Mathematically, if you represent the null hypothesis, it is mu 1 minus mu 2. Mu 1 here we are taking as Trivandrum. Okay, mu 1 minus mu 2 is equal to minus 0.10. That is how mathematically we represent the null hypothesis. Similarly, for alternate hypothesis, you can write mu 1 minus mu 2 not equal to minus 0.10. Okay. So in words, you can write children in Trivandrum is earning 10 paise less than that in Cochin. That is, mu 1 minus mu 2 is equal to minus 0.10, and mu 1 minus mu 2 not equal to minus 0.10 is H1. Why minus 0.10? Mu 1 is the average or the mean value of Trivandrum, and that mu 2 is that of Cochin. So Trivandrum people are earning less than that in Cochin. That is why it is minus 0.10. If it is mu 2 minus mu 1, then it will be 0.10 only. But here we are considering mu 1 first. So we are taking it in a negative way. Okay. Then step 2. Step 2 is identify the type of test. Now we will have to identify the type of test. Now look at the sample size. The sample size in both the cases is 200 and 175, which is greater than 30, right? So in this case, we will have to go for Z test. So identify the type of test. It is definitely Z test. Okay, then find standard error. Standard error, we have the formula sigma x1 minus x2 is equal to sigma root over of sigma 1 squared by n1 plus sigma 2 squared by n2. Okay, this is our formula. Now we will have to substitute in this formula. So you will be getting how much? Sigma 1. So what is sigma 1? Here we have in the question the sigma 1, that is for Trivandrum, it is 0.40 squared divided by what is n1? n1 is 200 plus what is sigma 2? Sigma 2 is 0.60 squared divided by n2, that is 175. Okay, so this is it, and on calculation you will get the answer as 0.05291. This will be the answer. Okay, this is the standard error. So you have sigma x1 minus x2 is equal to 0.05291. Okay, now what is the fourth step? Fourth step says find the critical value. Now we know that this is Z test and we have our standard error also. Now we need to find the Z value. Now we will have to write the formula for Z. So what is the formula for Z? See, this is the formula for Z. That is, Z is equal to x1 minus x2 minus mu1 minus mu2 divided by sigma x1 minus x2. So you can write that formula directly. Z equal to x1 minus x2 minus mu1 minus mu2 divided by sigma x1 minus x2. Okay, so what will be the answer? Now x1 minus x2. x1 means sample size of the first one. So take the question and look at this. So we have the average daily earning of Trivandrum people as 8.95. So you can write 8.95 minus Cochin is 9.10. So 9.10 minus what is mu1 minus mu2? That is, Trivandrum people are earning 10 paise less. That means minus 0.10. Mu1 minus mu2 is minus 0.10. Okay, divided by sigma x1 minus x2. So we have this one as 0.05291. Okay, so finally you will get this answer as minus 0.15 minus of minus. Minus of minus becomes plus 0.10 divided by 0.05291. Okay, finally on calculation you will get the answer, that is zx value as minus 0.94. This is the zx value. Okay, this is the z value. This is the calculated value of z. Okay, so I can write it here. Now I have calculated my value. Zx is equal to minus 0.94. Now take the question once again. In the question it is asked that how will you test the hypothesis at 0.05 level of significance that the daily pocket money received by 10-year-old in Trivandrum is lower by 0.10 rupees compared to Cochin. So here alpha value is given as 0.05. Alpha is equal to 0.05. What does that mean? That means that the confidence level is 95% or it is 0.95. So when the confidence level is given, how will you calculate the Z value from table? So we will have to divide this by 2. Why? Because in the normal curve, what happens? The confidence level, see, it is bisecting here. Mu value is bisecting, right? So it is 0.5 and 0.5. So we will be getting only one side. So here you have to divide 0.95 by 2. So you will get the answer as 0.475, correct? So you need to find the Z value of 0.475 from table. So from table you will get this value as 1.96. This is the table value, okay? This value. See, Z table is definitely there in the back side of a logarithm book. So you'll have to refer that. So find out Z value for 0.475 and you'll get the value as 1.96. Okay, that is a table value. Now look at this. You have the calculated value of Z as minus 0.94 and you have the table value as 1.96. So which is less? This value is less than this. Yes or no? So that means since our value, calculated value, is less than the table value, we can say that we are accepting the null hypothesis. Okay. So you can write the inference in this way, that is Zx is equal to minus 0.94 and Z of 0.475 is equal to 1.96. As the calculated value is less than the table value, we accept the null hypothesis. Therefore, children in Trivandrum is earning 10 paise less than that in Cochin. I hope this is clear to you. Whenever it comes to hypothesis testing for 2 samples or 2 means or 2 population, we are using this particular formula, that is we have to calculate the standard error between the 2 samples and then we will have to check whether it is Z test or T test depending upon the sample size, and if it is Z test then there is the formula for calculating Z value. Using that you have to calculate the Z value and compare it with the table value. If the calculated value is less than the table value, we accept the null hypothesis, else we will reject the null hypothesis. Hope this is clear to you. Thank you, students.